So this is what 7 yards of topsoil looks like. And we still have to do more. Hopefully that'll last the rest. And then we've seeded out what we've already done. So this is a grass seed, but I have mixed in Dutch white clover, about 50-50. So the other thing is, I'm not sure, I don't know what kind of lawn seed this was, but it's possible that I have some weird, funky half-half lawn, so we might have to do the other side, or at least over sow into it maybe in the fall. I'll leaf bag leaves into the lawn, and then I'll just over sow it again with more of this lawn seed mix with clover. So the Comfrey tea has been going for a couple days now, and you can see it's actually working. So that looks delicious, if I'm a plant. So it also doesn't really smell. I mean, it does smell. It's not stinky though. It's not stinky like a ferment. Sometimes people say to put it in a bucket with a rock on it and then cover it with a lid and put it in the sun for like 30 days, and that stuff smells like death. This here, it's got a nice kind of I don't know what to call it, like an earthy leafy smell. We had a big rock pile there from leftover boulders, so I just kind of scattered them here and there. Like this one's somewhat functional. This is kind of where the grade goes, so it'll help it push it into the swale. Next up is digging the rest of this out. That'll probably be another week or so from now because there's other stuff. And then just scattered some of these larger rocks around the property. Like one there, a couple up here. Don't want it focusing on my hands, a couple there. And just to kind of make it look like the rock that we use in our pond is naturally found around the site. It should kind of help make it look like this isn't its own thing, it's just part of this other stuff. Put a rock there, and then my wife doesn't like this big blue thing here, so we dressed it up with a nice rock. So we're all good. So I guess other thing is the deck is starting to be built. It's a pretty big deck actually. It's way bigger. When you see it in person, it's way bigger than I thought. But it's going to look really nice. And then we're going to have a gazebo on top. I don't know if we're going to put the gazebo this side or this side. I was originally thinking this side, but then I think when you're in it, you want to really see the waterfalls this way. So we might push it that way a little more. And then water clarity is about the same. We have these bubbles on top, which is a bit of a sign of too much load, not enough plants. So like things like this, it's going to balance out over time. We just need the plants to get bigger and grow, and then just increase the filtration. But some of the lilies are coming up, which is really nice. And they'll all help. And then obviously we got to get more shading going on, so we've got some water hyacinths in here. Where did they go? So some of these flowers are starting to come up, which is kind of nice. This watercress here is actually doing really well. Probably of all the wetland plants, it seems to be doing the best. And then I'm also rooting some corkscrew willow. So look at this. See, this wetland filter is going to be pretty handy. So maybe we get a couple extra corkscrew willow plants for free. I can probably plant those this weekend. Fig's looking good. Be nice when these things start really covering the area. And then look at this. These strawberries are actually flowering. So that's interesting. I'm unsure if I should pick these, because normally I want to pick them so they focus on leaves and roots. But in this case, they're actually in the water. So I have so many, I think I might leave them as an experiment. And I'll leave them and see what they do here. And there's the water hyacinths have found the overflow. So let's go save them. And we really want these to start spreading, and it looks like they did, or they're about to. Yeah, look. So this one here is putting on a runner, its first runner. So that's a good sign. So we'll move these over, we'll find an eddy somewhere. Let's jump across some of this. Alright, and we'll just put it in a little stairway pocket here. Yeah, so I really want these to run out. Now that the water's warming up, they should really start. They're really water temperature dependent. Once that water warms up, they'll start spreading like crazy. I really want these in lots of places. I can maybe do hula hoops and keep them tied off with a hula hoop just to keep it clean. But I want to maximize the amount of sun that I'm preventing getting at the water. That'll really help with keeping algae down. And actually our algae situation's pretty good. We hardly have any at all. It's really just moss from on the rocks, from when they existed like this, and then we sunk them in. So all that moss is in there. It's just breaking up, and the dirt behind it. So I think probably another month or so, and it should be quite a bit clearer. So this pile of rocks was also on the lawn, so we picked all these out of the lawn, and then we can use these to kind of fill in between crevices, just to make sure that there's no washout and erosion down through these areas. So we're going to use those and kind of just casually, as we're walking around, do a couple rocks a day. There's no rush on anything like that. Like this is a good example here. Kind of falls away into there. We can fill all this up with rock instead of soil, because every time it rains, some of that soil is getting washed into the pond. So that should all be rocked out. So we'll just kind of work on that. And then I guess the electrician is able to come to get a hard line to the pump so that we don't have to run these extension cords anymore. But by code, it needs to be 18 inches down. So I have to finish this trench and get it deeper, and it goes all the way around. I'll go show that in a sec, but look at Wildflower Hill. It's already starting to come. So we're really trying not to walk on this right now, just to let these things get established. Once it's established, then we'll be able to walk on it. There's going to be so much clover in here that we'll be able to walk on it no problem. Clover resists foot traffic really well with those fat, wide leaves. So I'll just go show you the rest of this trench here. Oh, and we did some log work actually. I can show that. So we did some step work around here. Put in a couple more rocks as stepping stones. Just makes walking around here a little easier. Got some cardboard. Right. Guy's so loud. All right. So I think that's pretty much 18 inches down, and then we have to just expand it. OSHA approved walkway here. So part of this video is for my own benefit, so I can see where we dug this thing later. And then we're gonna dig it up through here. And then back down around back there. So that's gotta get finished this weekend. And then this deck's got a bit of a fall off here. So not sure exactly what I'm gonna do there. I might take some of the big rocks that I have left over and put them here. For now, I kind of dug out a bit of a swale here to catch the rainfall that'll come off, and then I want to kind of divert it down across this and just get it downhill without eroding anything. Alternatively, in the future, maybe I can kind of cart that and capture it and then run it into some of these swales here. I think that would be a nice elegant solution to maximize the harvest out of it, out of that free water, and turn, you know, a problem that could be an erosion problem into some kind of water catchment. There'll be a gazebo here, so we'll capture some of that water off the roof of the gazebo as well, and probably feed it straight into a rain barrel that I can make Comfrey tea. That might be a nice thing to do in that area. Put a platform and a nice rain barrel there, and then I can use that to gravity feed anything below it. So some other interesting things. I harvested this comfrey, I think 2 days ago, maybe 3. And you can see that already it's starting to send up new shoots. This one is actually right out of one of the stalks. I didn't even know it did that. I thought they all came out of the root crown. But actually that one, and even this one, is out of a fragmented stalk. That's kind of neat. They seem to all be that way. That's neat. So I wonder if they'll all kind of regrow from the cuts. See, you get out in your garden and you always learn something new. That is very interesting. I didn't know that. We've also got some berry set on these currants. So this mint is looking pretty awesome. It's doing really well. I'm sure this will be absolutely everywhere in a little bit. I'm okay with that, I think, he says. And then we have a service berry that looks like it's not waking up. So it looks like this thing didn't survive the winter time. So, you know, it's not 100%. That's why we always overplant. Some trees are not making it. Some are. I would say a good solid 95% even are doing really well at making it. More currants. Here's the peach, and we have got a predator waiting. Just waiting for something to come. See, so if I spray my trees, then I don't get this fantastic ecosystem. See if where's that guy? Trying to find somebody. So when you spray, you kill good guys and bad guys. But we've got lots of fruit set. And if you notice, we don't have a whole bunch of insects jumping into those things. So some might get in there, but they don't all. And we have this wonderful ecosystem. Sorry about that. So I also found a few grubs in the grass, digging up some of those rocks. Put them on my altar to the bird gods, and they're all gone. So some birds got some free protein. Another thing I like about these really dense polycultures is just the variation in leaf you get. So we have a little hass cap here. We've got some onions around, got a pear, strawberries. Look how far up these strawberries are pushing. That is probably 10 inches to a foot tall strawberries. We've got serviceberry leaves, hascaps, and not hascaps, sorry, currants. This is a white currant. And I just think it's, and then look, even a thistle in there hiding. I see ya. So it just, and clover, it just adds such a nice little, I don't know, it just, everything blends better when you've got all this variation in leaf. And this was planted out, so you can see it kind of creeping over. It was only down here like last year. So this area here, I've kind of left it somewhat less planted. I was deciding how I want to get in here because it's too big for me to reach in from the edges. So I've kind of made this spiral walkway in, and it goes around goji berries and an apple tree, an autumn olive. So I think that's kind of how I want to use this space. So if you're wondering why there's like, you know, nothing planted there except these wonderful dandelions that are just looking awesome and stuff. It's because I'm kind of trying to think of how I want to actually use this space when everything gets so big that I can barely get around here. Harvesting this comfrey had a nice side benefit of opening up light to the lovage next to it. And you can see the cold hardy kiwis are starting to pop. The goji berry is alive. So that is nice. It is still alive. Not looking great, not gonna lie, but it is still alive. Let's see some hascaps. I bet they're putting on some berries by now. Okay, so this here, I filled out the drip edges around some of these old maple trees and put tons of hascaps in. This one I didn't take any cuttings from because it's a shadier spot. I want to keep the height of it. Right now it's probably 3 feet tall, so this thing is going to just be a beast this year, and it is loaded. So these are the hascap fruit starting to come. There's these funky bell-shaped blueberries. This is also called a honeyberry plant. And they're really nice because they're one of the first things to give you fruit. So if you don't have this, you're kind of waiting for strawberries or raspberries. But if you have this, it kind of gets you an extra month of harvest at the beginning of the year. And it's quite a nice plant. I really like it. And extremely cold hardy. There's varieties that can live down to zone 2. So a great plant, hascap. Elderberry cuttings are still doing fantastic. And we've got some volunteer kale protecting it from rabbits. Behind garlic wall. Behind comfrey. Grass. I keep saying I'm going to mow this grass. And then we've sowed clover into all this lawn. So often the rabbits just come down here and they eat this. So this is kind of the whole rabbit defense idea, is you give them something they like, and then you hide the rest with other plants. If they push in, they smell garlic. If they push in further, then maybe they eat some kale before they eat your small plants. So it's just layers of defense against bunny intrusion. So far, it has been working fantastic. And actually, I keep forgetting, when I dug this trench out further, I threw the dirt on this side to kind of blend this berm down the hill a bit more. And I keep forgetting to wood chip this. I got a million things to do, but I do want to wood chip that. I don't want to leave it like that. We've got the raspberry patch here. Creeping Charlie has decided that it wants to be the ground cover. So that's kind of like unsolvable at this point. When Creeping Charlie goes where it wants. I could put some strawberries in there and see what happens. Maybe some clover, see if it'll outcompete the Creeping Charlie. A lot of people hate Creeping Charlie, but it's a kind of beautiful ground cover. It's got purple flowers. It is food for the bees. Anyways, We've got raspberries about to flower, so that's exciting. This is probably one of my favorites. They're just so good. Oh, and I totally was gonna make a video on this today, but just got so busy having to do the lawn and all the digging for the trench, and then I was also working, so basically like this was at 4 o'clock having to do all this, but I did find some mushrooms. We made it for dinner. So we've got some King Stropharia mushrooms popping up already, and I love that I'm seeing them here because the original patch was there, and from there I've been subdividing. I have some other videos of where I've been subdividing some of this out, and it's nice seeing it pop up in somewhere else. Normally these are fall fruiters, I thought, or you know, I read, but every spring I actually get some, and then they really come in the fall. So I remember the one video I dug here, and I think I carried it. I carried it over here somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was in here between the Hass caps and the currants. So I'm not seeing any yet, but I think I probably have some growing. Let's just carefully check. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, and it's spread. It's doing really well, yeah. Look at that. So this is going to be quite a productive. It's even down all in here. So this whole area is just going to be filled with wine caps in the future. Super exciting. It's just, it blows my mind how you can just photocopy food like that. You know, you pay so much for it in a grocery store, and I can just photocopy it by digging some up and sticking it somewhere else. It's just crazy. Like our dinner today was free. So I'm feeding 3 boys. One's like a preteen food monster, and I'm feeding them for free. It's just wonderful. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. She's filthy, running in the dirt. Hey, Jenny.